Laughing so good for the soul. Share a moment with a complete stranger or somebody you know. Don't care if you're young or you're old. Sit down and tune into the best show. Lee bringing all the flavor. Interviews getting greater and greater. With a nostalgic feel. You know she got the mass appeal. Word up.
Welcome, everybody, to the Laughter is My Love Language podcast. I'm your host, Lily Mason, and this podcast serves as an ode, my personal ode to comedy. And I'm so excited about our guest today, my very first guest. When you talk about comedy, when you talk about Chicago comedy, when you talk about just somebody that just makes you laugh from the pit of your stomach, that has been involved in almost every facet of comedy for almost 3 decades or over 3 decades at this point. I need y'all to really tune in right now because we have the one and only B.Cole.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'm honored to do your first show. That's
I'm
crazy.
so excited.
It's crazy you called
I'm
me
so
for that.
excited.
So yeah, I'm excited too. So
Yes. So we're gonna go backwards, forwards a lot
let's
today.
go. Yeah.
But you popped in my mind. I don't know if you remember, but you did one of my very first shows before. I was producing along with my friend Bree. She used to work at Jokes and Notes.
Okay.
And we were producing a show somewhere on the west side by that hospital. I don't remember the name of it. And it was at like this jerk chicken spot. And the comic that was supposed to do it dropped out at the last minute. And we needed to get a headliner, like, because I was doing the format.
Yes,
I was
that
doing,
show. Right? Oh,
yes.
I love that show.
Yeah, and you
I
like
love that
saved
show.
the day. You just
Oh,
happened to be
man.
available. I needed
Yes.
somebody that could do 45 to an hour. And
I
she was like,
remember
who we
that
gonna
show.
get? I said, I don't know him, but do you know B.Cole? I think he's so
Yeah.
funny. She was like, yeah, and reached out, and you just showed up and killed it. Like,
Yeah. If I'm available and there's people to make laugh, I'm gonna do it. And I remember that show. I actually still use the photo that was taken on that
yes, on that
stage
fly.
for
Okay.
promo when I
Oh,
put stuff out. Yeah,
fantastic.
that's one of my favorite pictures.
Oh, I
Like that was
love
taken at
that.
that show. Yeah, I remember
Yes,
it.
like you came and like shut it down and to get like I always admired you from afar.
Yeah.
I've loved stand up comedy. I'm still fairly a novice in it, and we'll talk about that in a second too. But I've been watching comedy for a long time, and just from I was like, man, that guy is so funny.
Thank you.
So I wanna get into that because I have a few insights into like how you got your start and what comedy means to you. But I really want you to express it, and I want the people to find out. So tell us, how did B.Cole become B.Cole the comedian?
Oh wow. Like you did mention decades. I've just celebrated 31 years of
Hey,
stand-up
hey,
comedy.
hey.
So I started this back in 1991, and I was straight out of high school doing this. So I gave myself a year to do some college and move around a little bit, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And then comedy just always been in the plan, like since high school, grade school. I was always considered the class clown all the time.
Okay.
I was the one to always perform because I always loved laughter, but at the same time, I like to make people laugh with some thought provoking, setups, not just the slapstick comedy, but I always like try to put out that little smart humor or whatever. It just makes someone think. But at the same time, after high school, I decided to do stand up, and it was just, man, like you talking about 31 years ago. Wow, I remember my first time on stage, and Godfrey was there. Me and Godfrey,
Okay.
that's when we met. And
So how did we get from I want to do stand up to I'm about to do this today?
well, wow, it's crazy. I didn't know I wanted to do stand up until I was watching the person who inspired me to do stand up on television. It was comedian Damon Wayans
Okay.
from the Wayans family.
Yes, certified killer on stage.
Man, my favorite comedian ever, favorite writer, just performer. So I was watching him already, admiring him, but I didn't know his name. This was like early 90s. And this before, I think maybe before In Living Color debut, because when it was a half hour special of his. It was the comedy half hour special on HBO, and it was shot in Chicago at the Vic Theater. And I was watching it on television with a friend, and a friend of mine as we was watching it, enjoying it, he said, "Hey B, he reminds me of you." And I was like, "What?" And then he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Man," I said, "That's what you see. You see that? You see me?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man," I was like, "Well, that's the decision. That's right there. I'm gonna go ahead and do comedy if you see me entertaining like that." So that's what made me get into the comedy thing. And my whole uh, inspiration has been Damon
Mm.
Wayans. And I actually met Damon.
Yes.
Yeah, I met him. And when I met him, he knew who I was because he watched Comic View, which
How'd that make you feel?
man, that made me feel crazy because I told him he was my mentor. I told him, like, dude, you inspired me. And he didn't believe me and stuff. I was
Mhm.
like, yeah, it's truly, that's the truth. I mean, you inspired me to do this. But he wouldn't believe me. He just kept saying, man, go on, whatever. But come to find out, and I didn't know this at the time when I was with him and talking to him, but found out me and his birthday is the same day. Yeah,
Wow. When is that?
September 4th.
Virgos.
Virgo.
Okay.
So me and his
Wow.
birthdays
That's
land on
also
September
Beyonce's
4th.
birthday,
Also
right?
Beyonce's
Okay.
birthday. So yeah, so I was excited about that. And when I was doing comedy, I started at this place called the South Shore Culture Center, and
Mhm.
they were doing a show every Friday, and it was called the Studio, where it's like a variety show. So that's where I met a few comedians, some singers, and poets there. But I was the comedian, and I was doing well. I was there for like 3 to 4 months before the host told me I need to spread out. Like, man, you need to go somewhere else, man. Like,
Mm.
they love you here, but get out,
Mhm.
go spread out. There's some comedy around Chicago. And that's when he mentioned Bernie Mac to me. He's like, you know Bernie? I was like, I don't know no Bernie Mac. He's like, well, I'm gonna call him and I want you to go do his room.
Mhm.
It was the Cotton Club.
Mhm.
And when I got there, it was a totally different setup. It was like grown, like
Mm.
Cotton Club. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Everybody jazzy and stuff. And it's Bernie. Bernie hosting, got the live band. So it was a different environment for me from where I've been performing.
Mhm.
And when I got there, Bernie put me on stage. He knew I was coming, and man, I had a horrible show. A bomb. That was
Oh.
my first bomb, and I haven't been doing comedy maybe for a full year. And when I bombed, I quit.
Oh, okay. So can we pause for a second?
Yeah,
Because I feel like there are levels to bombing, right? I feel
yeah.
like it's a personal bomb, like where you know you didn't do well, but everybody else
Mhm.
say, no, it wasn't that bad.
Exactly.
But when like everybody is in agreement that like maybe this
Yeah,
not your
yeah,
thing.
that's Hiroshima right there. When everybody in agreement, like boom, like you just brought the mushroom cloud. But it is
Oh.
times when you hard on yourself, because I do it all the time, where people be
Mhm.
like, "Man, you were good," and this. I'm like, "No, I know I could do better,"
Yeah.
because I even done an hour special that I've shelved. I put up
Mm.
because I looked at the hour special. I was like, "Nah, this is not how I want to go. Do it." But everybody like, "Man, it's cool." But see, I guess
But you know what you want.
I know what I can
Yeah.
do,
So was
and
that Bernie Mac show bomb? Was that you knew you could do better, or it was just like nah this?
no, that was everybody in agreement. Even Bernie, he was on the side of the stage like wrap it up. And it was just a totally different thing for me, man, because like I'm 19. I'm like
Mhm.
no, I'm like 19 years
Mhm.
old, and they allowed me in the club to do it, but I'm here with some grown folk, like some
Mm.
people, like my
Mhm.
parents and her friends, and their ages. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So I'm like, oh, so it was kind of a different grown up environment for me, but that's what stopped me from doing comedy. And then not only that, on the way home from bombing, I got pulled over by the
Oh
police. So it
no.
was like, man, it was just like that wasn't my night. So yeah, so I quit comedy for like 3 months.
Mhm.
Didn't put no time how long I was gonna be gone. It was just took 3 months before I
Mhm.
decided to get back out there and do
So
it.
did you like quit and like regroup and be like, all right, I'm gonna write stuff down, or it was like you was like I'm done and I'm
Yeah,
going back
it was.
to.
I'm done because that was the most embarrassing moment I had since I've been doing comedy. I've been doing so great, but at this one spot,
Yeah.
being loved over here, and then when you don't get that love like that, you just like, man.
Mhm.
So yeah, I quit, but I always wanted to be into entertainment. Well, I always wanted to be into movies. I think that's why I got into stand up too,
Mhm.
to transition from the stage to acting.
Mhm.
And because I seen people do it from Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Red Fox. Everybody started doing stand up. So I was like, yo, that'll be my stepping stone into acting. But when I quit doing comedy, I was like, man, but I still wanted to be around movies and it. So I started working for Blockbuster Video in Evergreen Plaza.
Okay.
So over in Evergreen Plaza, I'm gonna be around some movies somewhere. So I'm just working. My very first job, I never had a job be prior to that, and then once I quit Blockbuster Video, I went on and got back into comedy. So I think Blockbuster was my only job, and I had another job for a couple of months at this warehouse doing assembly work. But
Hmm.
yeah, like I
So
said,
at Blockbuster,
I Blockbuster,
were
Blockbuster.
you rewinding the tapes, watching the tapes? Like, were you actually working? What were you
I was
doing?
working. I was stocking the movies.
Hmm.
It got to the point where they put me on the register. When they put me on the register, I didn't want to go on the register because
Mm.
I wasn't into the
Hmm.
whole savvy of taking care of ringing stuff up. So I remember when they put me on the register, and I think this was my last day. I had the line out the door because I was going so slow, and people was like, "Can you get someone else to help him?" So I was like, "Hey, I can't do this." And then what was
Okay.
so crazy in that same line, there was a comedian who I was performing with at the time. He was renting some movies, and he came to the register like, "Dude, what you doing, man?" He's like, "Man," he just remind me how funny I was,
Hmm.
and he said, "Man, you need to get back." And I went back, and then he's
Mm.
not doing comedy anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, so
When you heard that though, how did that make you feel?
that gave me that gave me confirmation because I was
Hmm.
already in the thought of like, man,
Mm.
I was leaning on that fence, and sometimes like God can just come and just send that message right
Yeah.
there, what you really need to push you into it.
Hmm.
And I did it, and it's been nonstop ever since. And that was like 1992. And like I said, between in 1991 on Black Friday, I started, and then like I say, early '92, I probably quit for that summer. I probably didn't
Hmm.
do comedy that summer of '92. That's probably the
Hmm.
only summer I missed. And then in the fall, I went back. And then when I went back, I went to All Jokes Aside.
Okay.
That was my first time going to All Jokes Aside because All Jokes Aside existed when I first started doing comedy, but I didn't want to go to a professional comedy club. I was like,
Right.
that's where the professionals hang out.
Hmm.
But not knowing, I was doing it harder. I was doing the
Hmm.
hard thing first by doing the lounges and the bars and stuff like that because I like, if I bomb in here, they don't tell nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They in the neighborhood bars or whatever. But when I did get to All Jokes Aside, I found out I've been avoiding the most I ain't gonna say simple platform, but it was more easier than the bars and stuff like that because you had to grab people's attention. You had to
Hmm.
get people out of their whole thought process of drinking their sorrows away. Then you got to ask the DJ to cut the music so you could tell jokes. It was that
Hmm.
time. But going to a comedy club, everyone's there to laugh. Everyone before they leave their house, they know they're coming to a comedy club to laugh.
Hmm.
So when I got on that stage, man, and it was open mic that night, and Adele Givens, she was the host, Adele Givens, and I got up and did my set, and it was on from there, just on from
Wow.
there, man. I had a good time. Just comedy's just always been fun to me.
Yeah.
It is. It's always and it's still fun. But like I said, doing it for 3 decades, you have its ups and downs.
Hmm.
It's like a relationship, a marriage. You're
I
gonna
love
love and
that.
hate it.
I love that
Yeah,
analogy.
yeah, you're gonna love and hate it.
So 92, we get back into comedy.
Hmm.
94,
Yes.
we have exciting things happen. Tell us about that.
Oh wow, 19. I don't know. I think in '94, I think I got my BT Comic View Grandstand
Yes.
that
How does
year.
this come about for
Oh
you?
wow. Oh man. Now listen. With Comic View, when I first did Comic View, it was when DL Hughley, he was the host,
Hmm.
and I think it was their last year before they started switching up hosts and making the show into a competition
Hmm.
because Comic View became this competition now where you had to compete for your hour special.
Hmm.
So all these comedians do like 3 minutes, a performance, and then you got to go another round. You get that round, and they choose who gets the hour special. So that's how it was for me. I had to do these process of eliminations on Comic View, and I think this was my second. I believe this was my second time on Comic View because the
Hmm.
first time I did Comic View, I went like after a year I started. Like Comic View was coming to different cities, and they came to Chicago scouting, and I think I was doing comedy for like a year, a little bit
Hmm.
after I came off my hiatus of quitting, and then when I got back into it, they instantly chose me. They took two comedians out of like 25, 30
Yeah.
comedians. They can taken me and Robert Hines.
Okay.
So, and that was back in '92, right?
Okay.
And I went and did Comic View, and I did that. That was my first performance I did with D.L. Hughley. So that was cool. Now with that, with Comic View at that time, the magnitude was huge. It was a big because that's all we had. There was no internet and stuff like that. People tuned in to Comic View, a Def Comedy
Mhm.
Jam, and everything. So when I got on Comic View, that's just what made all the promoters, the bookers, everyone was calling me because that's how they
Mhm.
was gauging their bookings off
Mhm.
what they see on TV, who they see.
Mhm.
So I was getting tons of bookings, but the thing is, I wasn't ready
Tell
to
me more. Why did you feel like you wasn't ready?
because doing comedy less than a year, getting booked, they want me to headline, and you know what I'm saying.
How much
So
time did you have at that point?
I think I had about 20, about maybe like
Okay.
15, 20 minutes
Okay.
of good material. But
Mhm.
once I exhausted that at a show, if I'm out of town, I remember being in Miami and I just headlined, and then I just had to try to wing it and stretch it. And people know you just when you not in tune, and it was kind of rough. So when Comic View asked me to come back the next year, I turned them down
Mm.
for '93, and I said I'm just gonna work on
Mm.
my material.
Mhm.
And I came up with so much material during them times because I was just working consistently in these rooms, open mics, and then when I did Comic View of the year they started doing competitions, that's when I came up with a lot of material that I was known for on the show. One of my biggest jokes on there was a poem I did called "I'm in Love with a
I'm in love
Crackhead."
with a
Yeah, I'm in
crackhead.
love with a crackhead.
Yes.
So that's what really won me the the
Yeah.
competition. But it was crazy how I got that hour special. It was crazy because here's the thing: you had three celebrity judges, and they were judging the comedians who go to the next round. They open the envelope and they announce the winner. I remember it was Lawrence Hilton Jacobs.
Okay.
He played
Coach
Coach
Cheese.
Coach Cheek, and
Yeah.
Marla Gibbs, and
Okay.
it was a third celebrity. I can't remember who it was, but see how Comic View what they did, they taped episodes
Mhm.
all in one day.
Mhm.
So they had taped Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So my episode probably will fall on Wednesday,
Mhm.
but they shoot them in that order in that one day. So they shot the first episode, announced the winner who goes to the next round, which is going to perform maybe on that Thursday show.
Mhm.
So they take the one winner from that, move them, and then it was the second show they did. Second show they started. So when they opened the envelope for the second show, they called the winner of my show, the person who was on my show, which haven't even happened yet.
Oh.
So now everybody got a tune like, "Yo, this thing rigged." The producers
Oh.
going around scrambling, everybody in panic mode. They're like,
Psych.
"Right, right."
Psych.
Something like they gave them the wrong envelope, so these guys had the wrong envelope. So they announced the win, and the winner wasn't me on my show. See, that's
Mm.
why politics come in and everything. See, so
Mm.
that would have stopped me from getting my hour special. But since they made that mistake, they had to remove the guy who they called. I forgot who he was. He was a Mexican comedian. I forgot his name. But they removed him, and then they had to replace him with another comedian who's just on standby. That's what Comic View had. They had like comedians
Mhm.
on standby in case someone didn't show up. So they had
Mhm.
to replace. So now my competition is real. They have to judge.
Mhm.
It's no pre-plan, no politics. See,
Wow.
and that's how God
Come
works.
on.
Because it's like,
Yeah.
man, God knew what they've been doing throughout this season, and
Yeah.
not catching on to everybody getting, it's all
Mhm.
planned. They getting put in these places to win.
Mhm.
But that situation right there made that envelope be open right before my show where they were forced to take that guy off and they were forced to actually judge the
Mhm.
show. So
Mhm.
when that happened, like I said, I'm in love with a crackhead. I did that little piece. I just did like a few lines
Mhm.
from that poem, and people stood up, and I think that's what got me the hour special.
Wow.
Yeah. So but that's what it was. It was like, man, I couldn't believe, like, man, this thing rigged. It's like, oh man, people at home, people at home
Wow.
didn't know because it was pre-recorded and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
just people in the audience and stuff, they just blew their cover
Mhm.
right there. And man, like I said, then I got my hour special and I did my hour special, and yeah, just on from there.
Wow. That's a very
Yeah,
like
yeah.
rich history. I would have never known that that's how that came about. So we're now at the point you did your hour special.
Hmm.
What is life like for you as a comedian now? I know you said promoters and things were reaching out to you
Yeah,
before, but now you actually like you're solidified here. You got the hour and it's
yeah.
BET's Comic View hour, right?
Yeah,
You
it was it, it
stamped.
was it, it
So
was crazy. It was a rush of that came in. But what was huge in the '90s were college
okay.
shows.
And was those black college
It was
shows or just
it, it,
colleges
it was it
period?
was colleges period,
Okay.
but it was a mixture. You know what I'm saying? You had just homecomings from
Yeah.
universities, black universities. So it was a mixture of everything. But I stayed booked solid because of that.
Mhm.
And I remember my agent at the time telling me like, "Yo, you're the number one booker on college campuses right
Love
now.
that.
Like, everyone's booking you." So I'm like, "Cool." So I was requested everywhere at that time. Um, but like I said, things like a lot of stuff come with that, like the fame and everything, stuff like that. I don't think I was too fond of the fame too much. You know
Can
what I'm
you
saying? It was a lot. It was
so
a
you say
lot.
a lot of stuff. If you could break that down or elaborate a little bit, and like what do you feel like is the ingredients of fame? Like what do you think people were seeking from you, or what did you notice that you feel like, oh, this is not really my jam?
I don't know. I just think that just at the time it was less um it was less out there for you to really grasp on to a lot of people, because today on social media it's like everyone's on TV. You put the phone in your face, everyone's on television, everyone's famous. Everybody's got that fame, that internet fame. However, but back then it wasn't any of that. So anywhere I went, and then Comic View, they reran me every day. They used to rerun, and it's like, man, I became this household name in people's living room. So everywhere I went, it was just crazy. This when I had to start just changing the schedule of my life, just like start shopping at Walmart at 24 hours. Walmart's at
Mhm.
3 a.m. in the morning. I hated going to like crowded gas stations, and
Mm.
because the whole thing is like when people see you on that television, they think you got the money.
Oh my
You know what I'm
gosh.
saying? So yeah, fame and fortune is it doesn't come together.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I always got the question, man, why you here? What you doing shopping here? And like what? It's like, dude, it's like I'm a
Mhm.
regular person, man.
Mhm.
So people started treating me different,
Mm.
and my thing is like I never been the guy to want to impress people by material things, what I
Mhm.
have, but it was just always like, man, you ain't got this, you don't got that, man. You on TV and this and that. Even harassing my family at their jobs. Your brother on TV, you still working? like
Like
I
what was
could
they supposed to
like
do
I could
though?
just take care of the family and stuff. So
Yeah.
like I said, I started shopping late at night. Stopped going to crowded gas stations. I really didn't. I'm really an introvert. I'm really like a quiet person. It's so funny because I grew up a
Mhm.
shy kid,
Mhm.
and I only opened up around people I was comfortable around. And
Okay.
that's people in my family, because I grew up with it was eight of us.
Where do you fall?
There's eight of us. I'm the baby of the first set of four. Then there's
Okay.
four under me.
Okay.
But we, like I said, I wasn't really the outgoing one in my siblings. With my siblings, they were more funny. My mom and dad, they're funny. I just observed. I just watched, and I just took all that with me. And I was so quiet, like around other family gatherings, stuff like that. A lot of family didn't hear me talk until they saw me on TV. When I got on TV at 19, people like they was first of all they was shocked to see me on TV. Then they like I never heard him talk
For
until
19 years,
for
they never
19.
heard you.
Cause like I said, I was just a quiet dude. I just stay to myself, and they
Was
just
they
like,
checking on you like he all right?
but that's how they just like that's what he is. So yeah, so the fame was different. I mean, I used to go places. The kids used to surround me, love it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved it. I love what I did. I love what I did, and for the people. But a lot of that too came with a lot of hate too. A lot of hate too. It's
Mm.
like and this is before internet trolls. People was in
Mhm.
your face telling you, you know what I'm
Like what would they
saying?
say?
You know what? Just it just wouldn't be friendly. It's just not. I really can't even bring out what they said or remember what they said, but I just remember it wasn't friendly. I remember I'm
Yeah.
at a red light one time, and it was a guy on a motorcycle with his girl on the back, and we had a red light, and I got tinted windows. I don't even know how this dude even see me, but he's like, be cold. And I look, and then he just threw up the middle finger in my, I like,
Oh
and then drove off. I'm like, all right, you know what I'm saying?
no! Was
Like,
this in Chicago?
this is in
Yo,
Chicago.
I be saying on stage all the time, like I see stuff or I have experienced just
Yeah.
unnecessary cuss outs. Like, why are you talking to me like
It's like,
this?
man, it's like he called me just to give me a hand gesture and took off. And oh man, I was like, and then there's times when people come up to you, or even I can be getting out my car about to walk into a store, a car will pull up in front of me and just stop in my tracks, and I'm like, I'm from the hood, I'm from the
Okay.
hundreds, so
Okay.
I'm always on alert, and I'm
Mhm.
always, been like, defending myself, fighting, coming up as a kid, but
Mhm.
you see these cars just screech in front of you and stuff, and then they roll their tinted windows down. You don't know if it's gonna be friendly, if it's gonna be, you know what I'm saying? You
Mhm.
don't know how it's
Mhm.
coming. So that was a problem of mine. But it
Mhm.
kind of made me just not want to do stuff.
Wow.
And the thing is with that's when I got into it with BT Comic View. We had our differences because they were uh, not paying money, but you film and they expose you on television, but the
Oh, but it's
expose
no residuals
there's
or
no
nothing
it was
like
no
that. Oh
residuals.
wow.
So what I had to do, I gathered myself and a couple of more comedians, and like, yo, we got to do something about this,
Mhm.
because man, I'm getting all this fame, but I ain't got no fortune, I ain't got no
Mm.
money, you know what I'm saying? I make my money on the road touring and stuff like that, which is cool. You got to do that, but you're not getting no residual checks, and sometimes them road shows slow down.
Mhm.
But so I went into a boycott with Comic View, because what really broke the straw, I mean, the straw that broke the camel's back for me was when they started hiring models to be in the audience,
Mhm.
because they wanted, now is what they want for Comic View is just the image of beautiful people in the audience and looking good. And the thing is, with the models, they were there and they weren't being genuine on the laughing side, because if they know they on
Mm.
camera, they want to be pretty laughing, and what I'm
Mhm.
saying, because when you capture somebody really laughing, mouth all open, stomach damn near about to run out the room,
Yeah.
it was crazy. But with Comic View, it's all about the image. They want the audience to look good, so you got these pretty models who just not laughing and
They
stuff like
smizing.
smile. And then that's when Comic View came out with this thing that I really didn't like either. So they started just doing stuff, just switching up the formula for the show. And they would kept trying to make me part of the show, and I was like, "Yo, where y'all going? I ain't feeling that," because they started putting crickets on the comedians. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, when something wasn't
When something
funny.
wasn't
Oh
funny, then it's just like
yeah.
bleep, 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 bleep. Like
Yeah.
the crickets would go. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And they didn't know how much damage that was doing to comedians' careers outside of this comic view. It's like, man,
Wow.
you get the crickets on TV, chances are promoter not going. I know comedians who got dropped from their shows because they were showcased on Comic View, and you didn't even know that you were going to get the crickets until you saw your show premiere, and
No.
you get the crickets. And the thing is the thing with that is, just like I said, the not that the jokes weren't funny, it's just the audience wasn't laughing. So it
Mm.
switched up the energy in the room. The
Mhm.
energy was different, and the show just became different.
Mm.
And then now Comic View, the union was after them, because like, here it is, it's like, we making some noise. Like, man, we need to get paid over here. So that's when Comic View left LA and started moving around the country trying to run.
Okay.
They went down to Atlanta, then I think they called them in Atlanta, then they, Comic View is like a fugitive, what I'm saying? Just then they went down to New Orleans and stuff. So
Uh-huh.
they was trying to get out of paying comedians.
Mhm.
So I was labeled as a troublemaker at this time.
What time period are we in right now?
We're at 1996,
Okay.
97, 98.
Mhm.
This is going on for years.
Mhm.
But it's gotten to a point where more uh, comedians, big time comedians, was hearing about this, and they stepped up. And believe it or not, it was comedians such as like Tim Allen, Bill
Mhm.
Maher,
Mhm.
Jay Leno,
Mhm.
um, comedians such as that. I think Byron Allen. So they were telling them, you got to pay these comedians. So it happened. They went union. They were forced to go union, and then after that, they didn't invite me back. So I
Wow.
didn't get none of that money. So it was comedians going on there making like $1,500 on one show when they were
Mhm.
just paying like 1% of that
Mhm.
prior.
Mhm.
But I was like, it's cool. So I, not realizing from Comic View, the producers and the production who did that show, they did many other shows. So I was wondering why I wasn't invited to
Oh.
PDD Bad Boys of Comedy. I was wondering
Mm.
why I wasn't invited to Martin Lawrence First Amendment.
Mhm.
And they shot Martin Lawrence First Amendment. They shot a season here in Chicago at the Chicago Theater, and I
Yeah.
lived downtown at the time. I'm looking at the theater in my high rise and just looking at everybody just have a good time, and I'm like, wow, I wasn't invited.
Mhm.
No one knows that I sacrificed my career to have that for the comedians, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And it's like that's not for me to even just go out and just parade and announce all the time, but I've done that, but it really put a damper in my career.
Mm.
And I started doing films. That's when I went into filmmaking and started doing my, independent films, stuff like
Mhm.
that. But yeah, it's been a ride with that alone. But yeah, like I said, I haven't done television dealing with that because those were channeled through those producers
Mhm.
of that show. And I did Def Comedy Jam, and
In the mid 2000s, right?
it was 2007.
Okay.
And that's one thing. HBO Def Comedy Jam, they had a whole separate thing
Okay.
named BET and stuff.
So
So
I wanted to ask what how did we get to Def Comedy Jam in 2007 but not the earlier stages of Def Comedy Jam?
um, it was crazy because I was young and I didn't understand at the time. But there's a one of the producers of Def Comedy Jam, Bob Sumner.
Mhm.
Bob Sumner, he was the only guy to make the decision for you to go or not. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But later on, like say, and I used to be upset with Bob like that, always looking me over every year and stuff and whole nine. I just, I kind of took it personal, thought he didn't like me. But me and Bob eventually became good friends. And then in '07, um, he was to get me on, but not because we were friends, but because it was my time. But at the same time, I had to see what Bob had to go through to get these comedians on, comedians who he wanted. It wasn't easy for him. He had
Mhm.
to go through Stan Lathan. He had to go
Mhm.
through Russell Simmons. You know what I'm saying? He had to
Mhm.
go through like boom. So even if ones he picked and they told him that they didn't want the comedian he picked, that comedian couldn't do it. However, so I just seen the process and I kind of got a better understanding of what Bob was
Mhm.
going through because that's a lot of pressure on you. You the only person that's the gatekeeper to get comedians on Def Jam. You can only let a certain amount on per season.
Mhm.
So you got hundreds of thousands, millions of comedians blowing your phone up and stuff like his position. I wouldn't even want to be in. Like, man, that's a
Mhm.
lot. So, but his talent, I mean, his taste of talent and seeking out comedians, he did that. Because he set the platform for Bernie Mac, all the kings of comedy, Chris Tucker, you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Eddie
Mhm.
Griffin. So yeah, so Bob definitely has an eye for talent,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I've never been since then I've never been the one to just be like, yo, why not me? I just know my time is my time and it's gonna come.
I appreciate that so much.
Hmm.
Especially just listen to everything that you just shared. A lot of times I know for me, just in my life, but especially like in comedy, sometimes where I feel like things haven't happened the way I want them to happen, or I
Hmm.
see things happening for other people, it's real easy to get distracted and be like, but hold up, like,
Yeah.
I'm not, like, but what is for you, what God has for you is absolutely for you. And I think it's also incredibly important to note that you don't know who is also working on your behalf and what
Hmm.
challenges are coming up there too. So just accepting the things that you got control over and keep
Absolutely.
moving. Because
Absolutely.
for you to say like, I kind of sacrificed my career, but that didn't stop you. You just
No,
pivoted and was
no,
like, all
right.
right, well, I'm going the indie route and
Right.
I'm making movies. And I've seen like some of your movies, some of your clips, like
Mm.
so one of the things that I love about you as a comedian is you can either see it coming or you don't see it coming with
Mm.
your material.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
both ways get me every time, like to the pit of my stomach. It's like, what? Like I knew it, but I didn't know it.
Right.
So talk to me
Yeah.
about your independent movie making route.
Wow. Yeah. My first movie was a short film, which was my favorite famous joke on TV was I'm in love with a crackhead.
Mm-hmm.
So a friend of mine who I went to high school with, his name was Cootie.
Okay.
Coo- uh, is Cootie? I'm sorry, not was.
Okay.
His name is Cootie,
Okay.
and Cootie's doing
He's still
very
here.
right.
Okay.
Cootie doing very well. If you, I don't know if you
The
saw the
Kanye?
Kanye
Yeah.
Genius. So right. So me and Cootie come out of high school, and Cootie had a camera, and with that, um, we just like, yo, let's do a movie, man. You got the camera, let's do the movie. I mean, I've been doing, got this, notoriety on television, and let's gather up the comedians. Let's do it. So I was the first one out of the group to go to California and LA and do all that. But like I said, the stuff I was seeing there, I was just like, yo, man, I don't like this. Let me go back home, tell these guys, like, yo, we can do it here. We can do it independently, man. Let's
Mm-hmm.
come together and make this happen. And everybody was like, cool. So that's when I gathered up cats like Guest-B.Cole, Ray Lapowski,
Mm-hmm.
Marlon Mitchell. It was Lil Rail's first movie, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So Don B. It was very very Chicago. Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So only had enough money to do a short. So it's a 35-minute film, but it's funny. It's a cult classic, and it's some of the early times of the greats in there. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
the names I mentioned. But we've done that. We shot that movie, and that movie allowed me to get a full budget for my next film, a feature film. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So it's like I say, it's just levels, it's steps. You know, because people like to wait on the money to come
Mm-hmm.
before they get started on anything. Like, no, just go ahead and do it because when people see you working and doing your thing, then they're gonna want to. It's easier for them to invest in your ideas because you're already putting the work in and showing them in the vision. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but that was that, and then I went off and did my second movie called A Get Together.
Mm-hmm.
And a get together, me and Cootie was supposed to do that, but Cootie he went off and did he would start following Kanye at the
Mm-hmm.
time. So when him and I were already in the midst of getting get together done, he's like, "Yo, I'm about to move to New York." It was just like out the blue,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, "What? Like, dude, we about to do this thing?" He's like, "I know, man, blase, blase." And then when he went, I still kept moving. I went and did my movie. I,
Mm-hmm.
got up a new team and stuff, and just going. But I come to find out later he was upset with me because I did the
Oh.
movie.
Oh no.
So me and Cootie relationship ain't been the same since, man. Oh man, Cootie, I don't know, man. It hasn't been the same since, for real. And looking at the documentary he did,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm seeing the timelines of the documentary is the exact same time I was doing my movie. And I'm
Wow.
looking at that, it's like, yo, he just didn't know at the time what he had. Like
Mm-hmm.
going through that following Kanye, yeah, he was struggling. He was sleeping on floors. He was doing all that. Here I am in Chicago. I'm making movies, got a movie complete. So he looking at that like, yo, grass green on that side, man, boom,
Mm-hmm.
boom, boom. And then probably, just going through the struggle of his situation, what he doing, but not knowing at the time how it's going to pay off the way it did, because right now you look at what 30 years later, almost, man, Netflix gave him a sweet deal.
Mm.
Man, now he's a millionaire.
Yeah.
Cody's doing his thing, man. He's doing big things, and I'm happy for him. But I just wanted him to realize that, everything happens for a reason, and that was for you, and that's what happened, So, yeah, then just steady moving on, just going and going. Like I said, it's just been a lot of things in my journey that I've
Mm-hmm.
encountered. So it's been a lot.
I want to delve a bit into like your thought process and how you come up with the things that you come. Three things
Uh,
when I think about you stand out for me, right?
okay.
I'm in love with a crackhead,
Okay.
head day,
Yeah.
and get little.
Get little.
Yeah.
Oh
So
wow.
specifically, I want to know I'm in love with a crackhead, how that came about, but then if
Oh,
you
okay.
can talk to like how you get into creating these
Yeah,
things.
yeah. Well, what's crazy about I'm in love with a crackhead is that I was my manager at the time, Vince Baz. This was in the '90s, and like I said, I'm Mr. Comic View. I'm in Chicago, and so he was putting together poetry shows
Mhm.
because I introduced my manager to a poet named Malik Youssef. who's from Chicago, big time Malik Yusef, Jay Ivy, who just
Yeah.
won a Grammy and everything.
Congratulations.
Yeah, big
Created a
ups.
whole category as well, I believe.
Exactly. So I mean, I was there with Jay's first performance, so
Mhm.
seeing all these guys come in, but I was doing this poetry show called Full Moon Poetry.
Mhm.
So every full moon, there's a poetry show that's happening. Kind of
Mm.
like a pop-up show back in the day,
Mhm.
not the same location, but just know the full moon is a poetry that night on the night of the
Mhm.
full moon. So it was a monthly show, and we used to do it at All Jokes Aside. We did them a club called Dejois and did a few venues, but Malik was one of the regulars there, and Malik had a poem. And here I am, I'm just a comedian, no poetry, nothing, but I'm just hosting. But Malik came up with a poem, and it was a poem called "I'm in Love with a Dancer." So it was like this beautiful moving song about he in love with this dancer and this and that, and when he got off stage, the women in awe and all this, and I get on there and I just break up the monotony and say, "Yo, well, I'm in love with a crackhead," and then people laugh. Then I just freestyled a little bit from that, but then when I went home and came back that next month, I had a full poem. I'm in love with a crackhead.
Mhm. Okay.
So that's how that came about. But people always be like, "Man, you was in love with a crackhead for real?" So people thought that was some true story, but it wasn't. It came from Malik Yousef, inspired from his poem "I'm in Love with a Dancer," and I think this is my first time ever
Okay.
saying it on this show. So what's crazy? Yep.
No, thank you for that. So I grew up in the DMV. Like I grew up in Maryland and DC.
Oh, okay.
And so crack was a really big thing
Right.
in our area in the 90s. Like it was like we used to have to like check the seats in the movie theater,
Oh,
for
wow.
like just look where you sit down and stuff like that. So when you said that, I'm like, it's not far fetched that you could have been,
Right.
because crack really did a number on us.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that
And I
tidbit of
yeah, I
information.
visit DC because I've done some shows there too.
No place like it.
Yeah, my guy Teddy Carpenter, he had a comedy spot there. I was doing his club. I've done Howard University. I think one of their homecomings. I
Hmm.
was down there for the rap seminar then at that time. That's when I met Tupac down in
Oh,
DC.
nice.
Oh, it was crazy. It was a rap seminar. It was just so crazy. We was hanging out that night, and Tupac was there. Everyone was outside the club. Nobody was inside the club. That's when Busta Rhymes, he was walking down the street with his entourage, and that's the first time I saw the LA gear light up in the
Oh
back.
yeah.
Busta Rhymes had them on. I was like, what? I was like, man, his feet lighting up, man. And,
Yeah.
they was the LA Gears, and Busta was
Mhm.
coming down the street, and then that's the first time any of us heard of Onyx. You remember the group
Mhm.
Onyx?
Slam.
Man, they came down the street like soldiers, like
Yeah.
Onyx, and like I'm like, man, me from Chicago. I'm like, man, it's time to knuckle up. Let's get on. We don't know what's about to come, but it was just all this hip hop just this in front of this one club, and like I
Mhm.
said, Tupac was there. Uh, and Busta, Onyx, a lot of people were there, a lot of artists, and that was my fond memory of DC. And DC was a lot of crack around. I went to the local McDonald's there. It was just like it was homeless in there, just hanging out.
It
Just
definitely hit every
yeah,
major city at that time,
it
but I
was.
know we were definitely
I
affected.
know, because I haven't seen that many homeless people anywhere
Mhm.
I've went before.
At that
Till I went to
time.
DC. Yeah, at that
Yeah.
time, and here it is. Like I said, I was young. I was
Mhm.
like I said, when I was traveling the world, I was like not even 25 yet. So
Yeah.
like my first time out of Chicago, anyway, my first time on planes was all with comedy. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like I didn't experience anything outside the city until I started doing this. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. So again, like I said, this podcast is like my ode to comedy. Like I just comedy
yeah.
has saved my life plenty of times.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like
Yes.
and just I have a daily goal to laugh from the pit of my stomach. And I think like a lot of comedians we have that in comedy. Like comedy has been
Hmm.
like that saving grace for us. And you are celebrating 31 years
31
now.
years, man.
So
It's yeah.
you've done so much, but you got so much more to do. What else are you seeking to do? What would you like to happen?
Well, wow. Well, the things I have lined up, I am doing productions as far as producing shows. There's a comedian, young lady Marnie P.
Hmm.
She has an opportunity for a show on the Roku channel called
Congratulations, Marnie.
TMT Network, and she's doing her talk show where she's going to be talking with comedians. But she asked me to produce it. Come on, produce. I'd say okay, cool. But outside of that, I have a comedy tour that was just put together with me and three other guys. Is myself, Marlon Mitchell, Muhammad,
Okay.
and Jeff B.
Okay.
And we call it the Bam Jam.
Love that.
The,
All certified destroyers on
yes,
stage.
the Bam Jam comedy tour, and the Bam Jam is acronyms of our names: B and Muhammad, Jeff and Marlon.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's the Bam Jam. So we've launched our first show on New Year's Eve. We sold that out, and our next show is at Riddles in March,
Okay.
March 12th. We're
Okay.
doing the Bam Jam launch show there because we got a show. We're going down to Springfield and we're going to Minnesota. So we just hitting some Midwest regions right now, just growing, just getting ourselves out
Yeah.
there because like we're all from the '90s,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, we all done everything. A lot of our class is gone doing anything. Like I said, the D Rays, Deion Cole, Craig
Mm-hmm.
Robinson, Godfrey, all them
Mm-hmm.
guys. We all ran together, but I got these guys together. I was like, yo, we good individually, but man, together we can do something as a
Strike a
force.
mighty blow.
We
Yeah.
can, and I was like, man, let's get this going. And I was like, yo, we like the Belle Biv DeVoe of comedy. You don't
Mm.
understand. Like, nobody expected DeVoe
Mm-hmm.
out of New Edition to do what they did, and they was like the most successful out of all of them, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yo, that can be us, man. I was like, yo, let's get ourselves together and create this Bam Jam. And man, it's been going. So I'm excited about that for this year. And I just did a recut of my movie, A Get Together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing that. That will be released as a producer's cut. I edited myself, re-edited. 20 years ago, I didn't have any say so in editing. So what the movie was, that's what the movie was. But I always cringed watching that movie, like certain
Why?
scenes, because like just things that I wouldn't have done
Mm.
on the editing side, and things that were left out, things that were put in that shouldn't have been in. So I was just kind of cringy at it, But that's how far my money went, though. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like you
Mm-hmm.
got a budget, take care of that. So, but this time I got all my tapes, got all the masters, and I went in the studio and we just started cutting it up. Me and a buddy of mine, and man, it's a whole entirely different film. I can't wait for people to see it. It's my movie. It's like I really feel like, yo, this is my movie now.
Now, how can we see it? How can people see the movie cut?
Well, once we put it through the last stages of post production, it's gonna be released on the platforms. You possibly is gonna go back on Tubi, Amazon. It was on Netflix at one time, back in the day, and we're gonna revisit Netflix as well.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm just excited about that. But I want to take a break from films and get back into stand up heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Because movie making is hard. It's hard and it's stressful. So
Yeah.
kudos to out there to all the filmmakers, man. I know what you're going through, but it's not easy. It takes a lot of time, but
Also, can appreciate you saying that.
mm,
I feel like, especially with the advent of social media, I won't
mhm.
even just say the internet, but social media, people see things and they feel like, oh, I can do that. Oh, that's easy. And I have this theory that the two most disrespected professions
uh,
is the medical field and comedian.
yeah, because
Everybody feel like they can heal. They can be a doctor. Like just go to WebMDs. You go to tell you, no, this is my
I
problem.
know, right?
And then anytime you see a comedian on stage and you feel like you funny, you remotely funny, you semi funny, you like can tell the best knock jokes, whatever it is, you feel like I could do that too.
Yeah.
But it's not as easy as people would think so. And I mean, even in your experience of doing this particular subset audience and then moving
hmm
to a more, I don't know, would you say they were sophisticated crowd at the
Oh,
Cotton
just yeah,
Club?
they were just man, they just remind me of my parents and uncles and
Mhm.
just grown folk
Mhm.
like jazzy black
Yeah.
people, Cotton
Yeah.
Club. Like I said, I never been outside the hood,
Right.
but I'm 19 years old going downtown. Really didn't spend too much downtown outside the neighborhood, and I'm going downtown. I just see the nightlife in a whole different
Mhm.
different perspective now. I'm like, wow, like I'm at the Cotton Club. The other place I
Yeah.
was doing is like a little hall, open mic, and it wasn't as that jazzy as Cotton Club. It was just another level up, and it kind of just spooked me a little bit,
Yeah.
So, but I'm very used to just knowing my crowd,
Yeah.
studying my crowd. I can walk in, I can feel the energy, and I know which way I'm gonna go with it now. And it takes time for that, So it took
Mhm.
many years for me to do that, and I've come to master it.
One
Yeah.
thousand percent, right?
Yes, I
You
come to
got to put in the
master it.
man hours. You got to put in the work. It's gonna be a lot of blood, sweat,
And
tears.
it's
Hopefully not blood, but
Yeah, but it's not just funny either. A lot of people get the thing like I'm funny, I can do it, but it's
yeah.
so much to comedy. You got to know it's like it's a formula. You got to know how to deliver. You got to know how to set up your jokes. Get to
Mhm.
that punchline because timing is everything,
Mhm.
and people don't realize that. I got a best friend who I came up with and from grade school. And he's like the funniest guy I've met in my life.
Mhm.
Even other people outside know how funny he is, but everybody thought he would be the comedian. And because, like I said, I was quiet. I was always on the side, just but I'm just soaking up all that funny from him and stuff like that. Because I knew how to structure. I know how to write. I'm a writer, structure, so I know how to structure jokes and all that. And then, like I said, as a comedian, you got to be a writer. You got to know how to go out there and give them jokes that you've written, that has a premise, that's something that's going to make laugh. Because a lot of comedians today, I see a lot of comedians, they go out and they do a lot of barbershop talk. They on stage, it's just talking. And some of it can be funny and stuff like that, but it's like, yo, you know who are writers and who are not.
Mhm.
Some comedians just get out and wing it,
Mhm.
and some master that, but some need work on that too. But me personally, I love to write, and I just love coming up with some bits. Like I said, my sensei is Damon Wayans. So
Yeah.
watching a comedian like him and seeing how he write and with callbacks and his timing on dropping the punchlines I was just like, man, I like this dude is the master.
Yeah.
Like that's the Jedi master right there. So yeah, so I've taken that in.
I
And
love that. I love that. So I feel like for me, I finally got into that place where I'm not ruled by fear.
hmm
I wanted to be a comedian for so long,
then
like for so long.
that's the
And
biggest battle right there. You got through that, then yeah.
yes, and the defining moment for me to actually do comedy, but then the also moment to be like, man, the Bernie Mac, I ain't scared of you.
Uh,
That moment, like I feel like I recently just had that.
yeah.
So I'm curious to know what was your like, man, y'all can't do nothing to me. I'm on this
Mm.
stage. This is my job. Y'all gonna rock with it. Like, what was your moment?
Oh man, I think after that 3 months I've taken off, and I was like, yo, I cannot quit again. Like it
Yeah.
takes that one bomb. When you have that
Mm.
bomb,
Mhm.
you don't want to do that again. You don't want to go through
Mm.
that again. So you going for 30 years, I still think about that bomb, not to go there. So it's like that's what saves me. Like, man, I ain't scared. Like I said, Bernie thing is I ain't scared of you MFs. So the
Mhm.
thing is with Bernie and the story with that, he came up with that right before he stepped out on stage at Def Comedy Jam.
Mhm.
Like the comedian before him got booed,
Mhm.
and he was backstage, and man, that whole I ain't scared of you motherfuckers,
Mhm.
that was right there,
Yeah.
created there, and that's what you got to do. It's comedy, it's a psyche thing too.
Mhm.
You can't psych yourself out.
Mhm.
Sometimes if you see some comedians going up ahead of you and they rocking the crowd, stuff like that, if you get intimidated by, you feel they raising the bar and you can't match that laughter, sometimes don't look at them. Just go, chill, relax. And one thing, like I said, studying Damon Wayans, I know what he done. He put headphones on. He wear headphones in the green room. So
Mm.
he listens to his music, whatever motivates you. That's what he does. I don't do that, but like I said, I don't watch a lot of comedians.
Mhm.
I don't. Um, I don't watch specials. I don't do any of
Mhm.
that. You know what I'm saying? Because like I like to just stay in my world.
Mhm.
Because a lot of people like you ain't up on that. You ain't up on that. And then you find a lot of comedians talking about the same thing because
Mhm.
everything's trendy and
Mhm.
everything is just spoken. Because you see a lot of comedians and hear a lot of comedians, they get on stage and their routine is a lot that I've looked on social media at all day. I like, man, I just read about this. I did like
Mhm.
take me away from that. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But you you keeping people in the social media internet world with your routine because that's where you're picking your information from, your
Mhm.
material. So I like to stay from all that, and I just like to create my own world and some of my life experiences and take those and exaggerate them a little bit, and just
Mhm.
make stories of it,
I love that. I love
yeah.
that.
So,
What do you feel like have been your best and biggest lessons in comedy?
oh wow. uh, my biggest lesson was to never create a heckler, never create hecklers. You know, you can get out there and just go out there and just pick on somebody, but then you don't know what reaction that person gonna give.
Mhm.
Where now you just got somebody who's possibly funny in the audience. They take the
Mm.
show away from you. You know what I'm saying? And you got somebody who just won't keep quiet because you
Mhm.
didn't got them started. And I think I've done that probably one time, and I had a heckler. He just wouldn't stop, but it was my fault. I didn't have to pick on him. I came out. But sometimes a lot of the audience want they notice something, and it's sitting out there, such a pink elephant in the room,
Mhm.
and sometimes I ignore it, but then sometimes you can't ignore it. Like, I gotta acknowledge this. Like,
Mhm.
why would you wear this big yellow jacket, and sit in the front row or whatever, or just some obvious that everyone's watching. So sometimes I ignore it, sometimes I keep it going just with my routine, stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
But that's one of my biggest lessons there. Just like, man, not to sabotage your whole set by picking on comedians, and also don't allow DJs to be in charge of just in charge of your set. Like you want the DJ to hit a song at this certain part. Like, yo, I
Mhm.
got this joke. When I do this joke, I need you. Now you putting the DJ into your set, and the DJ ain't really like that invested, and like
Mhm.
they not gonna be on point the way you want them to be on point,
Mm.
and so you can mess up your whole routine like that. So, like I said, by comedy being timing, it can just take 1 second off. It can be one syllable of a word to make the timing shift where it won't even work.
Mhm.
Like, even when I write jokes, like I said, the certain words I use, if I feel like, yo, this word has too many syllables that it won't make the timing for the punchline to really hit, I got to use the word, a synonym with the same meaning, but just a shorter, less, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
less syllables. So, I'm real anal like that.
Yeah, but
Like, you
you
gotta
you're a
be
writer.
careful.
You could tell.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta be.
That matters.
It's like writing music, writing a song. Like, say, like when I write my jokes, I just love them to flow in a rhythm and to get to that punchline, and I'm on to the next and on to the next. I also had to learn how to slow down talking, just slow down,
Oh my
because I
gosh.
talk fast,
Oh my
and I think
gosh.
that was been my nervous trait.
Yes. It's a tale.
Yeah, because the thing is, how I started, I started in a room, and like I said, go back to the lounges and stuff like that. You got to hurry up, get to the joke before they like, hey man, I ain't. They gonna turn around and go back to their
Mhm.
drinking. So, um, I've gotten used to just speaking fast, just to keep the attention span of the short attention span people,
Mhm.
and that's what's been happening, especially with our people, black people. They ready for the joke, so I
Mhm.
speak fast, but here's the thing: I had to stop doing that because I was underestimating my audience,
Mm.
and it's like, yo, they're listening.
Mhm.
Something, because my thing is I don't like quiet in a room,
Mm.
but come to realize, instead of them being quiet, they're listening. So they're listening. So you just gotta accept that they're listening. Cause like I think, cause that's why like every other word come out of my mouth, I want to laugh from it. I want to laugh. So I may have a joke with a nice bit, but I may have little landmines of little tags in it that's going to like make you laugh along the way till
Mhm.
I get to that big punch.
Mhm.
But I've seen one of the persons I've seen do that very well, a great storyteller, and he'll have the room quiet for about a good 3 minutes, and 3 minutes of silence to me is just like, oh, that's no. I feel like I'm bombing. I'm
Mhm.
like, are y'all listening? What's going on? I don't know. I'm not getting no reaction. But Leon Rogers, Leon Rogers is one of them great storytellers. I'm like, Leon to go on and be on talking for 5 minutes and the room just like, but then once he dropped that punchline, boom, it's explosive.
Mhm.
But see what I do up until that punchline, like I said, I set little tags
Mhm.
up along the way. You're gonna laugh here, you're gonna come here and laugh, get a little laugh there, snicker here, but boom, here's the big one right here.
Mhm.
And I do that because, like I said, just me being nervous and not certain if people are listening or they're just bored
Mhm.
out there, you know.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's been my method.
I Comedy is such like a humbling sport. Like whenever you think you got it, like it's something, some show, some audience, some
Hmm.
crowd, some venue is gonna remind you like, nah,
Yeah,
you ain't
yeah,
there.
yeah,
And I have not done like a 5 minute set in a long time. And I had
yes.
got a guest spot. And I came on stage and I was doing good, but I had been working on a joke and I wanted to like do that joke.
Hmm.
But the light came on, and so I was just like, and then let me tell you about this.
Uh,
And then when I finished, the host was like, "Are you
mm,
twisted? Like, why did you do that? Like, you didn't." And I didn't realize, and that was just like such a good reminder. Like,
yeah,
you can take your time. You don't have to do what you're working on. Like, do what you can do. It's a time and a place for
that's so
everything.
true. Because the thing is, even at the Laugh Factory, um, shout out to Curtis Shaw who's been booking me. And but like they give you 10 minutes,
Mhm.
10 to 12 minutes, stuff like
Mhm.
that. And I'm used to doing 45 to an hour and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So let's go back to talking about bombing of not bombing what everyone agrees on, but yet I've had a show at the Laugh Factory where I walked out feeling like, yo, I did my thing. Other
Yes.
people can tell me I did good and did great, but me personally, like it's hard for me to do 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Because it's like so much that like, okay, what I'm gonna do, I can cram some stuff in. It's like it's hard to pick and choose what I'm gonna do and put into this 10 minutes. So I've yet had a show out the Laugh Factory where I really felt 100%, you know, confident that I did well. But like I said, like from the people and the crowd, they let me know I did good, but I know I can
Mhm.
do better.
Yes.
So one day, that's my goal. Just get to that Laugh Factory and have that 10 minute, that solid big 10 minute set.
Yes.
Because when I've been doing 45 minutes to hour, like I said, I've been headlining since the 90s. So when I do have shows, it's more of like a plane taking off. I got the runway. You know
I'm
what
a
I'm saying?
witness.
Then boom, and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So that runway that can be my first 6 minutes.
Mhm.
And like I said, if I'm starting that at a 10 minute set, it's kind of just like okay, it's kind of slow, but then it'll pick up. So with 10 minutes, I got to come in just hitting hard, bang, bang, bang.
Mhm.
No runway. I got to have like one of them back jetpack,
Jetpacks.
just go straight up, and that's how you got to do it with that. But this is a good lesson. Was being booked at the Laugh Factory is like, man, come in. It's a challenge for me, and I love that. I just
Mm.
love the challenge because I haven't had challenges in comedy in a while. Because, like I say, I've been doing a lot of shows. I've been doing a lot of corporate shows, private
Mhm.
shows,
Mhm.
birthday parties, and you know, weddings.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that. So I really just I'm in my own. I'm in my own, you know what I'm saying? But getting booked at the Laugh Factory doing my 10 minutes, that's a challenge for me to like have a good 10-minute set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's you just been speaking to me this whole time, and I really appreciate it
Yeah.
because again, you just me being so early in my journey, and you like being you a professor at this point, but you're
Yeah.
still learning.
I'm still
Which, but
learning.
that's life, right? When you're learning, you're growing. You should never
Absolutely.
stop growing.
Absolutely.
I know for me, like the space that I want to like master and be better at are those bar shows, are those
Hmm.
non-club, like somebody got a restaurant and they got like a nook in the restaurant,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the sports bars where the TV's still on and you got it. Because I feel like people who can hold the attention in
Yeah.
those rooms, like,
Yep.
it's nothing that you can't do.
Exactly. Exactly.
The clubs spoil you. They
Uh,
make you feel like, yes, this
yeah.
is comedy. This is what we're
Right.
doing. It's like,
Nope.
no,
You get out there
yeah.
and you're gonna face them challenges, all those obstacles in the club, like you said, the talking at the bar, the TVs
Mhm.
are on, everything. It's just so much going on. But like I said, you master that, you're good. and that's exactly what I've been going through, and I've still visit a bar and stuff like that every once
Mhm.
in a while just to keep my edge
Mhm.
and all. But yeah, it's good to stay in those though. You
Yeah.
to keep you sharp. You got to
One
stay in
thousand
them.
percent. And I feel like the best comedians, they're not like they can be wherever. You know, you don't have to pigeonhole them or put them in a box and say, "Oh, this person is only
Yes,
going to do well here." And it's great to have like a mastery of an area, but I feel like to
yeah,
truly master stand up, you can be a stand up comedian anywhere.
you can. Like the guy Marlon. You know Marlon Mitchell, right?
Yeah,
He's the lounge king
one thousand
to me.
percent.
Like he can no one ever do a lounge like that dude.
Mhm.
Like he grew up in a lounge. Like
Mhm.
his mom owns
Shout out
Francis.
to Francis.
Francis, shout out. And like that was his environment growing up.
Mhm.
So he witnessed everything and he masters that. Like
Yeah.
I would not go behind him at a lounge, you
And,
know.
and what I tell him, because what I love about him, especially as a host,
Uh
you'll never see him do the same thing
never.
twice. And it's
Never.
and but he's always so aware and in the moment. And it's like again the same way I say and watch. I just be like, how did you like you pick this one thing about a speck of lint in somebody's hair and just turn like it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Man, I seen Marlon just in rare form. I just worked with him recently at a bar, man. He just like, man, he's amazing to me at a bar. But like I said, not too many people can do that. So, but like I said, you just gotta find your place. Once you find your place and knowing you comfortable with what you do, you're gonna get the people who attracts you. You can't please everybody. And
That's a great lesson.
that's been my challenge when I see someone in the audience and someone's just giving you that straight face, but everyone else is laughing. I'm focused on this person. I gotta make this person laugh,
Oh
you
my
know.
gosh.
And but the thing is, like now I get to the point like, hey man, whatever. You ain't enjoying this over here. We having fun, man. Whatever's your problem is your problem. And like I said, you can't get caught up in just worrying about who not liking you. You just gotta
Yeah.
cater to the people who's enjoying you and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And you like you.
Yeah,
As
and
long as
that's
you that's
you
important.
have to like yourself and be confident in what you do. And just be sure, man. Just be first of all, be yourself. I
Yeah.
see too many comedians out here just just trying to be
Mhm.
you know that, but it's like man, just be yourself, man. And like I said,
Yeah.
I went through a lot of growing pains doing this since 19 years old. I really had to find my identity. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Just really like, yo, dude, just be yourself, who you
Yeah.
are. Because when I first started, a lot of people used to take my silence for arrogance.
Mm.
I was never arrogant in no way in my life, but people used to take that. I used to go do my show, go sit in the corner in the back and stuff, and they'd be like, "Oh, he's so arrogant, this and that, boom, boom, boom." So I was hearing that, and when I started hearing that, I started doing a little more better, being more outgoing.
Mhm.
Started hanging out, in the lobbies and greeting the people, boom, 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 being, just being this bigger than life person who people want me to be. But at the
Mhm.
same time, it's what people want me to be,
Mhm.
So it's like, um, that's why I say, man, just go ahead, be yourself,
Mhm.
because now I'm back in the corner chilling. You know what I'm saying?
Where I
Like man,
was started, I
yeah,
should have
that's why
never left.
this is me. This is what I do. If
Yeah.
you don't understand it, I'm sorry. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Don't
Yeah.
don't let my actions and who I am just intimidate you and from your
Mhm.
with your insecurities or whatever.
Mhm.
Because I'm gonna be me, and that's one of the big lessons. The
Mm.
biggest lesson I had to learn, just like man, be myself. I'm not this loud, outgoing person trying to
Mhm.
be funny on all the
Mhm.
time. Because you see comedians like that. Comedians like to keep it on
Mhm.
all day and all night. Like,
Mhm.
dude, cut it down, shut it down. Keep it for the stage because now if you're just naturally funny like that, that's cool. If you got me genuinely laughing, that's cool. I don't mind. But
Mhm.
if you get some comedians who just trying their material on you, but trying to camouflage it as a conversation, and
Mhm.
then you be like, hi, hi, yeah, yeah, yeah. Then they go on stage and do that same thing you just had to talk about at the bar. Like, man, he
Mhm.
just tried his whole set on me and
Yeah.
stuff, but tried to make me think we were friends. Go ahead on with all that. So, like I said, I just be to myself, man. Yeah. They they make you feel special and stuff. Then they go on to tell everybody else.
I thought we had some.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. I thought that was our conversation. So
Oh, I've
yeah.
seen it so many times.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
I can
yeah,
absolutely
yeah. And it's like I said,
understand that.
it's a lot of clicks in the comedy game too. There's clicks in everything though. Everybody got their own little circle of friends who they do and stuff like that. A lot of
Mhm.
people shun a lot of the comedians who probably don't fit in, or you know what I'm saying, with the in crowd. But I've always been to myself, and I've been like that since, I promise you, since grade school. Um, I've always been a guy to take on the rejects. All the rejects, people who get rejected from the popular kids, man, y'all hang with me, man. Come hang with me.
Mhm.
And I've been like that even coming into the comedy game. Like a
Mhm.
lot of the comedians who been rejected,
Mm.
I tell them come hang with me.
Mhm.
And man, and by them hanging with me, people start giving them shots. Like
Mhm.
Dave Hellum.
Okay.
Dave Hellum. When Dave Hellum first came out, like they wasn't giving no time of jokes and notes. They weren't doing, and he's the, you know, I talked to him one day. He was just telling me how he wasn't, getting no love and stuff and all that. I was like, oh, cool. I was like, nah, at the time, um, I didn't have a car. My car broke down, and so I just had Dave. I said, drive me around. Come to the shows. I'm gonna have you open up for me in my shows. So I started doing that, and they started letting him, perform in jokes and notes. Because when he'll go without me, they'd be like, "Hey, that's B.Cole boy, put him up." It was
Mm.
that. It's all about association, who's associated
Mhm.
with. Then
Mhm.
even the young comics who probably used to diss him and stuff like that, they used to be like, "Hey, B, I'll drive for you, man. You need to drive," and stuff like that. And it's just like that. And it was for other comedians like that too.
Mhm.
My man Grady.
Okay.
Grady, he was doing. Grady wasn't doing stand up. Well, I think he was trying to do stand up, but the same situation where he wasn't getting stage time, stuff like that. But Grady started doing sketches with me. I was doing skits, and Grady was in a few of my sketches. And this before the internet, and we were showing sketches like at the club. Like I was doing the whole thing with the screen, and like Dave Chappelle, how he had it set up. I was doing that in a nightclub in the '90s, early 2000s. And Grady was in some of my skits, man. When the comedians saw him in them sketches and funny in that, then they be like, "Hey, man, let's be Cold Boy, put him on stage,"
Mhm.
So he started getting that stage and that, that love from the comics from that. But there's been a few people like that. You know what I'm saying? A
Mhm.
few people like that. Like I said, even with Lil Rel, when I first saw Lil Rel at Riddle's Comedy Club back in the day, he wasn't doing comedy for like about 2 months, and he asked me to stay and watch him. He's like, "Yo, B, I'm a fan, man. Can you stay?" I stayed and watched him. And when I watched him, I invited him to the set of I'm in Love with a Crackhead. I said, "Man, come to the set, man. I'm gonna put you in something. I'm gonna have a movie for you." And so I put him in his first movie,
Mhm.
and he was the stunt double for the crackhead girl, which was Don B. And what I did, just he just put her clothes on, and the obvious stunt man. You know how
Yeah.
you watch the
Yeah.
movie, it's like that's a stunt double. So
Yeah.
I made it as the obvious stunt double, but it was Lil Rel. So she turned from herself to Lil Rel as the stunt double, and Lil Rel got tackled by like Dion and Mark Simmons in that
Hilarious.
scene. So with that now. I worked with Lil Rel ever since that with my sketches, the whole nine, and everything. And there's a story with Lil Rel. Well, I got upset with him. I think I told him too, because he was on Jimmy Kimmel, and
Mhm.
Jimmy Kimmel asked him about his first movie. Like, has there been any other movies from before Get Out and all that? And I like, man, I'm like, Lil Rel about to shout me out. Man, I'm like, hey, mama. you know? So he got on there and he didn't say my movie. He said R. Kelly trapped in the closet. And I was like, what? R. Kelly trapped in the closet. And he said, yeah, he was telling Jimmy Kimmel how he was a stand-in on the set, and he told this little story on the set. And I was like, wow. I was like, wow. I like, dude, your first movie was I'm in Love with a Crackhead. And I called him on it and stuff, but it is what it is.
Mhm.
But what's so funny about that, ironically, the girl who cast him in R. Kelly Trapped in the Closet, I started her with my first movie, A Get Together.
Oh
So
wow.
her first movie she ever cast was A Get Together, and then from that she was getting jobs, casting plays and music videos. So
Mhm.
she got the R. Kelly job,
Mhm.
and she got that, and she remembered Lil Rel from my camp, and
Wow.
she put a little rail in that. So I like, dude, you got to go all the way down to the roots, man. I like
Yeah.
if you gonna say mention anything, go down to where it really all started. You know what I'm saying? So I planted the seed for that.
Wow. So much. So you have like a very
Yeah,
rich comedic history.
yeah.
You are celebrating 31 years and you have a show coming up.
Yes, I got a show coming up. It's gonna be at Zany's nightclub. Actually, yeah, Zany's nightclub is February 20th. It's on President's Day. It's a Monday, and I'm
Hmm.
celebrating 31 years. I got Damon Williams. He's hosting. Not Damon Wayans. Damon Williams, y'all. Damon, another great comedian. One of my
Also
best
certified
man,
destroyer.
certified. My one of my best friends in comedy. You know, me and him started at all jokes aside days together. Actually, Damon and we were the first ones from Chicago to get our half hour
Hmm.
special because that year they gave out four they gave out four half hour, oh no, 4 hour specials. I'm sorry,
Hmm.
4 hour specials, and three of us was from Chicago. It was me, Damon, and Cheryl Underwood,
Oh,
and
wow.
then the other person was Montana Taylor, and she ended up
Hmm.
winning being the host that next year, Montana Taylor. But um, no, I don't even think her name was it Montana Taylor. I don't know.
It is today.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. You talking about 25 some years ago. But yeah, so me and Damon go that far back. So for him to be here at the celebration with me, celebrate my 31 years, that'd be great, man.
I definitely
Happy to do
intend to be
that.
there.
Please,
Support.
please come through it because
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a whole hour stand up. Just and like I tell everybody, I don't want comedy fans. I want B-Cole fans. You know,
Yeah.
like comedy fans are comedy fans, but it's just certain people who get me. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that's the same case with you. It's just person who get people who get you. You know,
Hmm.
comedy is just all different perspectives of everything, you know. So
Hmm.
it's just like when you find what's funny to you, that's what you stick with. Because my thing is like everything is not funny to me, but it may be funny to someone else, you know.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's a difference, man. It's just different styles of comedy, and I always explain it too. Like you got the slapstick comedy, and you got the observational comedy where you got to listen and pay attention. Because
Hmm.
I was like, I love Martin. Like Martin was funny. You know what I'm saying? Martin was slapstick the whole nine. But then I also love Seinfeld. I watch Seinfeld show,
Hmm.
and if you took them two TV shows, if you turned down the volume of Martin and you watched it, you'll laugh with no audio, and
Hmm.
you be like, man, you just watching it. It's funny,
Hmm.
visually. You do that same with Seinfeld. Turn it down. You really don't know what's going on because you have to listen to the dialogue and the
Hmm.
jokes of what they're saying. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So you're not really, um, capturing that kind of comedy the way you'll capture it with Martin with no audio, and you'll have to. And the thing is with Seinfeld, you can have no picture and just the audio going and enjoy that,
Hmm.
But comedy is different. It's just different ways. It's how you perceive it and what's your taste in it.
Hmm.
It's
It's
like food.
incredibly subjective.
Yeah, it's food. It's
Hmm.
food for you. Everybody don't eat everything,
Yeah,
but
I'm one of them people that cilantro tastes like soap too. Like,
that's a
have you ever? It's a real thing. Like, and I couldn't figure out like why it was disgusting to me, but it's really healthy for you. But I can't handle it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's man, so it's different styles. You just gotta find your audience. And like I said, I don't pressure myself on who likes me or like, I just do me, and
Yeah,
like people just gonna catch on.
yeah.
Because today is all about how many followers you got. That's
Mhm,
where a lot of bookings come from now. Like promoters who book shows, they really don't care about the quality of the show. They worry about the numbers, and they see
mhm,
your numbers up. They know that's ticket sales for them. But the
mhm,
show can be mediocre. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? But you got some like hardcore, funny, official comedians don't have quite the following,
mhm,
but they got the show.
mhm, mhm.
So that's just my thing, getting my social media game up. So anybody out there who on social media, please join me on social media. Join. I say join me too because I don't like
Yeah.
saying
Follow
follow.
me, cause I'm not
Follow me,
Jesus.
right? That's
Don't
what,
I
like
can't do
I'm
nothing
too old
for
to be
you.
followed. First
Yeah.
of all, I don't like people behind me.
Who's
So
that
just,
peeping in my window?
right. So just join me on Instagram, B.Cole Comedian, and TikTok and Facebook, all that, man.
Yeah.
So like, and that's the thing to master now. That's the challenge these days. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Because if you can have the two, because some comedians got one over the other. You got the followers but no show, but you got the show but no followers. But
Mhm.
if you got the two, man, you gone, you doing
Yeah.
it. So my thing is just to get the two.
Mhm.
And like I said, I got the show, 30 years worth. experience, but now I got to master this social media, I've been learning that every day. So I've been putting up reels and skits and little things just to stay relevant. So I try to keep it real entertaining too. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So if this is my television network that I have from my phone, my platform, I'm gonna make sure you have that experience of like, oh, I can go in there and binge watch his videos, and it's funny, because I
Yeah.
have a YouTube channel, B.Cole Films, and I have videos on there that really you can literally just go turn it on and just relax and just
Back
binge
to the
watch.
Future literally made me cry.
Oh
Cause I didn't, again, you
yeah.
can see it, but you don't see it. And I was just like, no
Right, right,
way.
right, right. Right.
Did that.
And see, that was an idea that I wanted to have because even with social media, you got to find your niche. You got to find like what is it that you can do, and it can be long lasting consistently. So I was like, man, let me just play on words with movie titles,
Mhm.
and that's what came with Back to the Future. I did Boys in the Hood. I did a few of them, Jump in the Broom, and I was like, yo, I keep doing this. I have ideas forever because it's movie titles,
Mhm.
that's ongoing forever. So I'll never run out of ideas. So that was my idea of doing that, and I'm thinking about bringing that back, doing that again. With some new movie titles, stuff like that. But we had fun filming them. I mean, like I said, and that was another thing where people be like, that stuff corny, but then some people, I love it. So it's like you're not gonna capture everybody. So I don't try to get everybody. I just try to capture what I can catch, capture
Mhm.
who I can catch,
Mhm.
with this bait I have. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like, yo, I'm gonna catch my fish over here, you catch yours over there. But yeah, it's like, I enjoy doing it. Got to be something I enjoy. I have a lot of stuff in the vault. I'm like Prince. I got a lot of material,
Whom
a
you
lot of
also
skits,
met.
and yeah, I met Prince, hung out with him, hung out with Prince 2 times. So even if you hang out with Prince 2 times, you can consider yourself a friend. Like that's my friend. You know what I'm saying? Like we hung out twice. That's my buddy, man. We grew up together. Hanging out with Prince twice.
I was like 27 here. I was 35 there. That's growing up. Nah, I feel
Right.
you.
Yeah, so that was the
Okay.
experience with Prince, man. Hanging out with him. Me and him had a conversation. He told me Bernie Mac was his favorite comedian, but he's a big fan of comedy. Um, and that's the thing. He watched Comic View. When I met him, he knew me. Yeah, because a mutual friend of ours was my DJ for my show. I had a room in Minneapolis
Mhm.
every Thursday. It was a Thursday night. It was a nice club called the Riverview, and this was early 2000s, and I remember this was 2001, I believe, and it was September 2nd. It was 2 days before my birthday, September
Mhm.
4th. So my boy, who was the DJ, he was like, "Yo, man, I'm about to go over to Prince's house, man. He at the crib." I'm like, "What?" Just like that. Just like, me and him never talked about Prince. Never. Like, he just like, he packing up the equipment. I'm like, "All right, man, dude, good show." He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm about to go over to Prince's crib, man. He at the crib. You want to go?" And I'm like, "What?" Prince house? Like, yeah, well, they do. You ain't take me over no Prince house. He said, "Yeah, man. Me and Prince. That's I grew up with him and stuff like that." Oh, no, but he's actually been buddies with Prince. And sure enough, he took me over to Prince's house, and this was probably like 2 in the morning because they were in the studio, just completing up some music. It was him and Roy Ayers.
Mm.
Roy Ayers, yeah. When I got there, Roy Ayers was walking out, and then I walked in. Prince they just finished. Prince like, yeah, we just got done, and singer Larry Graham and his wife was inside the studio. So Prince welcomed us in. It was real nice, man. And then what was unbelievable, he let me hear the song that him and Roy Ayers just finished. He's like,
Wow.
yo, he like, yeah, check this out. Let me know what you think. And he played it. And the whole time, I can't even tell you what the song is today. I wasn't
Mhm.
even listening. I was just in my head like, I can't
This is
believe
Prince.
playing a song for me. I don't even, what I'm gonna tell him. He's like, hey man, yeah, you got to bring the little levels up a little bit. Put some snares. What you doing, Prince? You can't tell Prince. So that was that experience, and then, like I said, it was 2 days before my birthday, and then so that was like a good birthday present to me. Then he came here to Chicago in November, played at the Metro in Wrigleyville. That was his after party. He had a show at the Riviera, Riviera Theater.
Mhm.
Then at Metro was his after party. But
Mm.
his after party is just another concert, just a smaller venue. But he just play again. So I went to the after party, and I was on stage with him the whole time. It was me, him, Common and Macy Gray, because Macy Gray and Common had they had a concert that night too.
Oh
So we
wow.
all met at the after party, and we all jammed on that stage. Like
Wow.
I was really just a spectator, but I was up there. But Common was performing, freestyling while Prince just playing. Macy Gray was doing covers of his song, and
Mhm.
Prince like, you get up there. Prince told me to get up there, and I was like, man, only thing I can think of to do is I'm in love. So I did I'm in love with the crackhead, the band going, and Prince played the guitar behind me while I did I'm in love with the crackhead. Yeah,
Wow.
that was like that. I was 10 years in the game
Do
right
you have
there.
any footage of that?
Man, Prince wasn't letting no footage in that, and it
Exactly.
wasn't even no camera phones at the time. It wasn't even
Wow.
phones. I don't believe like that. But yeah, I don't have it. But the thing I do have is the club, the Metro, the venue. They released the you no, a friend of mine went onto their website and pulled up the date. They had the whole playlist of the night,
Oh.
and they had all Prince songs that was performed like by Macy Gray and Common and stuff like. Cause they also did Common song "The Light." Remember that song?
Mhm.
There's a time, and Prince did the hook to that. Like it was
Wow.
so dope. It was surreal, and Common was doing this thing. So they had that on there. Then right there, it was like under Raspberry Beret. It was like I'm in love with a crackhead
Mhm.
on the list. And I
Wow.
was like, what? Like, I'm in
Wow.
love with a crackhead was on the playlist with
Wow.
Prince songs.
Yeah.
So that's the proof. you
Yeah.
know,
No, it happened. It
yeah,
did.
it
It
happened.
did.
It's right here. So yeah, so I have that. But yeah, that was real good experience for me. And like I said, man, when he passed, I really took it hard. And it was so crazy because he passed on
April 21st.
April 21st, and I watched on 420 was the day before. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I was celebrating 420. And I was like, and I always want to watch a movie when I'm like, in that zone. You know what I'm saying? And the movie I chose to watch was Graffiti Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my final question to you,
Okay.
being all of what you've done, all of what you experienced, what do you want your legacy to be? Like, if someone was to talk about you in 50 years from now, 60 years from now, even tomorrow,
hmm
what would you want your legacy to be? What would you want people to say about you, B.Cole, the comedian?
I want them to say, I want my fans to say how funny I was and how much they appreciated my work, and I want my peers to say how much I was there to help to help them in the game. Like I set platforms for a lot of people, and never was the type to expect anything in return, want anything in return. If you gave me that, that's fine. If not, that's cool. Life goes on, but I at least would want that said about me. Like, yo, he was there for me. He had a hand in it. He helped me. Because that's what I always wanted to do. I always wanted to help, people, especially if I seen them have talent, and if I have a doorway that I can get them through to get closer to their goal, I'm definitely gonna set that up for them. And I've done that for a few comedians.
Yeah.
Definitely done that. And like I say, even just getting them paid on Comic View, that was the first step right there. Like,
Yeah.
yo, now y'all go get y'all money, man, and I'm just gonna stay broke, but yeah, that's just been me. I always been that guy, just take on leadership and just know how to lead. You got to
Mhm.
love the people before you lead the people, and that was
Mm.
my thing. I make sure I love whoever I'm encountering with, whoever I'm with, um, whoever we collaborate. However, it's all done out of love because energy is real, and my energy doesn't even allow negative energy into my cipher. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Mhm.
you really set yourself up where you got this aura where it's like, I don't live in fear because I know a lot of that stuff isn't even allowed around me, because
Mm.
like, people afraid of Chicago, like,
Mhm.
man, they shooting up there all the time, this and that, man. You can't go nowhere. It's like, yo, I don't live in that fear because it's like if it's there, it'll avoid me. I won't
Mhm.
I won't be around it. So and that's just how I live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was fearless, he was funny, and he was kind
Fearless,
and
yeah.
helpful.
Fearless, funny, yeah. Fearless
Yeah.
and funny. That's
Yeah. I
but yeah,
love that though.
yeah,
Fearless and funny.
yeah. And that's definitely what you need for comedy, fearless. And now the thing with comedy too, um, it's comedians who I see that's just fearless on stage. Like now, I'm not. I got to get to that being fearless on stage where I don't second guess anything I do, and just like, yo, I'm doing it anyway. Be funny, whatever. But I know some comedians who just get up there and just like, man, they are fearless. Even if it doesn't work, even if it's not funny, if they don't get the reaction, they did it. Like, wow, you did that though.
Yeah.
You know, you wasn't afraid to do that, but you did it. Okay, I want to get like that. Just do it. If it works or not. But I did it.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
Mr. B.Cole, thank you
Yes.
so much for spending part of your day with me. Thank you for being my
Lily,
inaugural guest. Thank you for
yes.
always showing up when I've asked you to.
Yes,
I
thank you for
truly, truly
having me.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I really haven't really got my story out on a lot of outlets, but this is perfect, just to get a little glimpse of me and what I've been doing and where I come from. And I appreciate you for that,
Oh,
really.
yay.
Like I said, doing it 31 years, 30 years, man. Like I said, I'm more of, I'm just, how, like, Eddie Murphy. Are you an Eddie Murphy fan?
Absolutely.
I love Eddie Murphy.
Hmm.
Eddie Murphy's my buddy, man. I love that dude. Now that's one comedian I haven't gotten to meet yet. But
Okay, because when you said your buddy, I was about to be like,
no,
talk
no,
more.
no, 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 no. No, that like growing up with Eddie from Saturday Night Live
Hmm.
days, since childhood, stuff like that. I always felt that connection with Eddie. I always watched his interviews, always watched that. He started at 19 years old,
Hmm.
and seeing Eddie now in interviews and stuff, he's so toned down. He's so, man, I'm- like I've done it, and but he's still funny just in conversation and stuff. But no, Eddie used to be poppy, he used to be up
Yeah.
all on 10 and stuff on interviews, Arsenio, whatever, and have it and just have us. But I still love him, just the mild Eddie, just tone. He's like, yo, I got 10 kids. I'm dad in the house, and it was funny because he's like 10 years ago, you couldn't tell me that I'll be in the house with 10 kids and Bill Cosby in jail. And it's like, yeah, you couldn't tell nobody that. But that's basically how I am now. With 30 years of comedy, stuff like that, I just got information to give. Being funny is definitely a thing. But I definitely confidently funny when I know I'm on stage.
Yeah.
I am. I am. Like I said, people do talk to me like, "Do you a comedian for real?" Like, yeah. They're like, I can't tell. Like, cause you gotta come to work. You gotta come to my work,
Yeah.
and see me work, cause that's what it is. It's my job. But my personality, like I said, I've always been laid back, real reserved, stuff like that. And then when I did come out of that for years, I was this outgoing person just to prove to people that I'm not what they thought I was, arrogant. But my thing is like, yo, I ain't got to prove nothing to nobody. Just come see me in my show. You'll see how funny I am. So that's just been me.
And I've just been enjoying watching and
Oh
listening.
man,
And thank
thank
you
you.
again for
I
sharing.
appreciate you having me for your first show. This is cool. Man, that says a lot though for the first show.
You know,
So
yeah.
I hope you have a second one after this
Yeah, I
one.
hope
I'll be
so
like,
too.
man, it wasn't nothing, there ain't no damn interviews. They ain't talking about shit. He ain't funny. But I just wanted you to know, people know, like I am funny. I'm very funny, but you witnessed that. But like I said, I
Yes.
just I just have a more reserved personality though. I'm
And
real
and
cool,
that's
laid
absolutely
back.
fine. I wasn't bringing you on here to like
I
knock the
know.
tables over
I know.
because you made me laugh so hard. No, I
I
really
know.
wanted to share your light with the world as well
Yeah.
as let you know, like, again, this is my ode to comedy and honoring everybody that's made a contribution to comedy. And
Yes.
because I'm a
Yes.
living witness of your contributions, this is my way of giving you your proverbial flowers.
Give me my
So
flowers
yeah,
today. I really
yeah.
appreciate
Yeah,
that,
so
man.
you
Yes.
did everything I wanted you to do and more.
What? That's
So
cool. That's what's important. I wanted to do that.
yeah.
Yeah, it is a lot of pressure on the comedian to be funny at all times, and stuff like that. But some people are just naturally funny. Here's the thing, too. Like I come to realize this for me, by me being a writer, by me being an actor, I come to conclusion like, you know what? Maybe I'm not a comedian. I'm a writer who writes for an actor who acts as a comedian.
Hmm.
You know,
Mhm.
like because the script that I write is what I do on stage,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an act.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving my comedy act. You know what I'm saying? As an actor, I'm doing my comedy act. So but I write the script.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I really consider myself like the writer who writes for an actor who acts as a comedian.
Mm.
That's just me. you know.
He's fearless, funny, kind, and helpful. The writer, the actor.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
B.Cole, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Laughing so good for the soul. Share a moment with the complete stranger or somebody you know. Don't care if you're young or you're old. Sit down and tune into the best show. Lee bringing all the flavor. Interviews getting greater and greater with a nostalgic feel. You know she got the mass appeal. Word up.